So today I wanted to discuss Tales of the Empire. I just watched it yesterday, the whole thing, and here's my review. It's spoiler free. Let's talk about it. So before I get into the first episode, I want to discuss this first. I don't know if I mentioned this during my trailer watch, but when I first saw the trailer, I wasn't really interested in Morgan Elsbeth's story. I was like, okay, why are we doing her? But I was like, you know what? It could be good. Let's see what they do with that. But yeah, it kind of disappointed me. So let's get into the first episode. So I found this episode, it wasn't terrible, but I found it a little boring. Some parts were cheesy to me. But I feel like when it comes to watching the first episode of a series or a season or a little story, anything, it's you know what? It's the first episode. This is the exposition. Of course, it's not gonna be amazing yet. Usually it builds up. But I wasn't a fan of this episode. It didn't have me excited for the next one, but I watched it anyway. But I feel like my ending thought was yeah, this is the exposition and it could get better. Something I also noticed in this episode, and it's not really a spoiler, don't worry. There is a scene in the end of the episode where there are flames behind Morgan Elsbeth, and I immediately caught it as symbolism, and yeah, well, I'll discuss that in the third episode. So the second episode, there were some interesting parts in it with the way Morgan Elsbeth interacted with the people she was ruling over. It was interesting seeing their perspectives a bit and how they viewed the Empire. But I still thought it was a mediocre episode. There was this fight scene in this episode and it low-key looked lazy. It was yeah, it wasn't that good. It wasn't that good of a fight scene, honestly. At this point, because this is the middle episode, I'm kind of wondering, what is this leading to? What is Morgan Elsbeth gonna tell us about the Empire? What is her story? What is the final destination? So by the third episode, yeah, I guess it shows you how corrupt Morgan Elsbeth is and the Empire, but it still was boring, I guess. I feel like Morgan's arc didn't add anything to how I feel about the Empire. And I know, Tales of the Empire, just like Tales of the Jedi, is short. There's not much room, for them to, make me feel like something amazing. Because when I think about Andor, I think that made me, see, really how evil the Empire was. Andor was, wow, this is serious. And I know that show was way longer, but even Tales of the Jedi made me feel, a little differently about the Jedi. I always knew, the Jedi had issues, underneath all the goodness. But seeing those continued perspectives of Jedi who went bad, or seeing the Jedi not even care about what Qui-Gon was saying about seeing a Sith, that definitely affected how I view the Jedi overall. And I would also like to say that Tales of the Jedi, at least the Dooku arc, added to the Phantom Menace. It kind of made me think of Qui-Gon differently and how the Jedi Council viewed Qui-Gon. I would also say that the Ahsoka arc added to how the Jedi are seen. I don't really know about the first episode that much, and her last episode, it wasn't bad, but I want to focus mainly on the second episode, how it shows you how Ahsoka survived Order 66, why she was one of the only Jedi that did. Yeah, I think Tales of the Jedi did that better than what they were doing with Morgan Elsbeth's story. I feel like it didn't really affect how I saw the Empire. The story kind of felt like it was going nowhere. By the way, in the third episode, there is a part where they burn down a forest, and that directly connects to the symbolism in the first episode. So watch out for that. Honestly, I'm guessing the point of Morgan Elsbeth's story was to show her experience with the Empire and how it affected her, but I feel like the episodes itself did not make me care about that. I didn't need to know that. I don't care. Okay, so now going into the fourth, fifth, and sixth episode with Barriss Offee. Honestly, this one hurt me because it was a disappointment and I actually was excited for it. Well, whatever. It's Disney, Star Wars, they always disappoint. So in the fourth episode, it opens with Order 66, Barriss has a vision and then she looks at the window and it's happening. Of course, that gave me chills because Order 66 is always crazy. That always gets you, and honestly, I've been kind of wanting to see her reaction to it and like what she was doing at the time it happened. So I didn't think this episode was bad, the 4th episode. I thought it was a good way to introduce Barris's story arc as it has you interested from the get-go. And I'm glad they're like showing how Order 66 affected her and what that put her into. My only complaint is that there is like this kind of like battle at the end of the episode, and I thought it was too short. Like I thought it ended too like soon, but it's Tales of the Empire. Like I'll have grace when it comes to like shortness. So for the 5th episode, I had some pretty mixed feelings about it. Is this a spoiler? I'm trying not to spoil stuff. I don't think it is a big spoiler because I think people already know this. Okay guys, I'm gonna be completely honest. When discussing the 5th episode, I don't think I can avoid spoilers, so just skip to this part. So I have very mixed feelings about this episode. It's not exactly bad, I just feel like the timing is weird. I don't like where it was placed, and like I said, I know there's only 3 episodes, but it's like I feel like this happened too soon. So when I finished watching this episode, I was like, I have to watch the Ahsoka trial arc again. Because in the Ahsoka trial arc, freaking Barris was like full on embracing the dark side. Like she force chose someone. Like she's not going down a good path. And I know Barris always had good intentions, but she was definitely flawed and definitely messed up. This episode made it seem like she was never really that messed up. And I think she was. I think she was really suffering, and I think she was pretty messed up, and I feel like that episode kind of canceled this out. This is where the spoilers begin. I'm gonna spoil like a little bit. Like it's not like oh super serious, but I would skip if you're watching this. I know I said this would be no spoilers, but for anyone watching this who has already seen it, this is your special part. I feel like she had a change of heart too quickly. Like, oh, I understand, like she just saw like this little boy's whole like community get killed, and she's like, oh my gosh, the Empire's evil. But we went from her becoming an Inquisitor to now she's like going to the light side. Like we didn't even get anything from her as an Inquisitor, as her working for the Empire, and like that's just kind of lame. Okay, this is supposed to be Tales of the Empire. Like, can we get a lot of like I want the dark side. I know that sounds bad, but that's what I came for. I came for Barris's contributions to the Empire. And as I said, I know she has good intentions, but like I really felt like that happened like very quickly. Okay, now talking about the 6th episode, I'm probably gonna spoil a little bit here too, but before we do, let's just talk about how I felt about the episode, and then I'll talk about little details that maybe people who haven't watched it might want to know, and then I'll talk about little details that people who haven't watched it might not want to know yet. So I found this episode extremely boring and disappointing, like straight like 3 out of 10, bro. Like this episode to me was maybe my least favorite episode in like the whole show. By this point, this isn't even Tales of the Empire anymore. It's not. It's really not. Honestly, like at this point, I believe it's okay to like discuss Barris's like what happened to her after like Order 66, but with the 6th episode I started really feeling like this story doesn't belong in Tales of the Empire. I'm not gonna delve into it yet because I know some people haven't watched it. I think the pacing was terrible for these 3 episodes. Morgan Elsbeth's was better. I didn't like her like story that much. It wasn't that interesting to me, or like what was happening. I was like, okay, but it was paced better, and it's disappointing that Barris's wasn't. And I know her story is probably like it's more important, so there's like more stuff going on, so you want to hit all of that, but it's like I don't feel like this should be in Tales of the Empire, you know? I saw a comment on YouTube saying that Barris's story felt like there was a missing piece, and I wholeheartedly agree. I finished and I was like, what did I just watch? I just don't feel like once I got to the 6th episode, I was like, I don't feel like this episode belongs in Tales of the Empire, nor the 5th episode. Maybe a little bit of the 5th episode, but like it just happened a little too quickly. Definitely the 6th episode, I was like, okay, this is not Tales of the Empire anymore. I feel like what they were trying to do would have been better, like if it just wasn't in Tales of the Empire, like if it was just a show about Barris, because not only could they make more episodes and longer episodes, it wouldn't be focused on the Empire, so we wouldn't be getting clickbaited. Okay, but here are some of the spoilers, so skip. this part. Okay, so I feel like this episode and just the whole arc overall barely delved into Barris's journey in the Empire, as I said before. I know it's short, so like, what can you do? But she's already on the light side in the entirety of the 6th episode. Like, what happened to the Empire? In Dooku's story on the 3rd episode, he was still on the light side. He was still a Jedi. It's just like by the climax, he was like, definitely like, okay, he's done with that. And even then, he was like having regrets. Like, he was like, I don't know about this, you know? And Barris wasn't even like kinda twisted still. Like, she was just a good guy all of a sudden. I just feel like Tales of the Jedi fleshed out Dooku's story way more than they did Barris's, and like, that's really disappointing to me. But yeah, that's all. I'm sorry that I did have some spoilers in this. I feel like some parts were like, I don't know if I can explain this well if I don't spoil it a little bit, like just for the people who have watched it already. So I guess in the title I'm gonna be like mostly spoiler free, and I'll put timestamps for when the spoilers happen so you guys don't watch them. I hope you guys enjoyed this video though. Let me know down in the comments if you've seen Tales of the Empire, how you feel about it, if you liked it or not. But again, hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, like it, subscribe if you want more content like this, and I will see you guys next time.